Article from Intercessors for Britain, Lost Boys, it's called. 2.5 million children in the UK have no father figure at home, representing 1/5 of all dependent children. Almost half of firstborn children by the age of 14 do not live with both parents. Boys are more likely now to own a smartphone than live with their fathers. 76% of children in custody said they had an absent father. With an annual cost of the prisoner being $50,000, father engagement is imperative for cost saving, reducing the prison population and life-saving measures. 2 parliamentary reports have now been completed on the increasing number of female teachers reporting sexual harassment from male pupils in schools. Over half of child sex abuse and exploitation is now child on child, with boys accounting for 9 out of 10 perpetrators. First 6 months of 2023 had reports of sextortion increased by 257% from the previous year, with boys again making up 91% of those affected. Sextortion is a kind of online blackmail. It's when criminals threaten to share sexual pictures, videos, or information about you unless you pay money or do something else you don't want to do. This is all in the context of 1/4 of young men likely watching porn every or most days, and 80% of pornographic scenes containing physical violence. The website Pornhub, according to as 90% of videos contain some kind of violence towards women. Over 50% of users are children. Similarly, 50% of 10-year-olds have watched porn, according to the NSPCC. Do you see there's a connection between that and the way people behave? There has to be. And just recently, the Netflix released a 4-part drama called Adolescence. Anybody heard about this one? Been big in the news, and I did actually watch it. Thought it was pretty appalling, but it depicts an investigation on why a 13-year-old boy murdered his female classmate. The series has been watched over 66 million times in its first 2 weeks. And the Prime Minister has said in the Commons that he's watched it with his children. The government's now proposing that adolescence should be used as a teaching resource in schools. So they want to take it into the schools and use this to get children off violence and off watching bad stuff on the medias. In the film, it tells about a 13-year-old boy called Jamie who stabs a female schoolmate to death after apparently being radicalized by so-called manosphere and incel, that's involuntary celibate culture, with the influencer Alan Drew Tate name-checked in the script. Apparently, incel means online community of young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually, typically associated with views that are hostile towards women and men who are sexually active. Referencing this lad, Jamie, he's described as being involuntarily celibate, and he wants to be attracted to women, but he doesn't feel that they're attracted to him, and so he has a grudge against them. Point is, he's 13 years old, so they're telling you that children 13 years old should be sexually active, basically. Another thing which is questionable why this should be presented to children in school. In fact, if they're watching this and they're 13 years old and they're not involved in any kind of sexual feelings, then they might feel that they're inadequate and there's something wrong with them. Also, I watched it and it's full of the most foul language. Almost every other word is the F word, and it's being used not just by pupils but also by teachers and by the police. So the establishment figures are using all this language as well. It shows very bad behavior in the classrooms, in the schools, and disorder. And it gives the idea that the psychology is you can get to the bottom root of the problem and explain what's going wrong. There's a psychiatrist becomes a kind of priest which you confess your problems to, and they give you some kind of absolution and some kind of redemption. And of course, there's no mention of God anywhere. No mention of moral values, no mention of anything like that, or the possibility of repentance and forgiveness for doing wrong. And it's part of, I see it, a basic assault which is coming through the government, through the social services, and through the education system. And I speak as an ex-teacher, and I couldn't imagine actually presenting that film in one of my lessons. I'd be totally embarrassed, and it would, as far as I can see, create the opposite effect of what they want.